Hello, hello. Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are at. How is everyone doing? And please let me know if you can hear me okay. Hello, hello. Good afternoon. So, Andrea will be joining us shortly. She's getting everything set up, so she will be on soon. Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay? Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, thank you, Latanya. I appreciate that. Andrea will be joining us in just a little bit. She is backstage or she's getting set up on her end, but today is going to be good for both business owners, content creators. This is going to be valuable information that you'll need. Even if you already have an existing business, this is still going to something. She's going to drop some gem that is going to be helpful. Okay. And give me just one moment. Andrea, I'm about to add her to the screen. So let's go ahead and get started. Andrea, hello.
Hi, how's it going?
It is going great. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Excited for this.
Oh my gosh, you and me both. For those of you that may not know, I found Andrea doom scrolling TikTok like I normally
Of
do at
course.
1 o'clock in the morning. And she was responding to someone's comment, and I was like, oh wow, that was a good tip. And so I went down a whole rabbit hole of your timeline. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's giving so much good information. And being a crafter, being a business owner, and a lot of the things that I see on multiple platforms, I figured that's why I reached out. I said it would be so good for you to share your knowledge, your information with my audience.
Yeah, anytime. I'm always happy to do these calls.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, we're going to jump right into it. I know you're a busy woman, and thank you for taking the time out to speak with
Of
us
course.
today. Starting off, if you want to give a brief overview or introduction of a little bit about yourself as well as your business.
Yeah, thank you. So I started out in big law. I thought I had my dream job right out of law school, going to work in the tall, fancy office. And very quickly I realized this sucks. I don't want to be here. And luckily, I had a small business that I had already sold before I started in big law. So I already had like a network of business owners. I knew business. And I honestly, I just wanted to work with small businesses because people are people. And I just wanted to work with people because I was in corporate law working with really big companies, which is cool, but I just wanted to work with people. Like nobody gives a crap about what exactly is going on in these big businesses, but for small businesses, like this is everything. And at the time, I had so many small businesses coming to me when I was at the big firm asking for help because they didn't know where to go. They didn't have somebody that could help them. And the firm honestly just didn't want to work with the small businesses, which is understandable, but they weren't even asking for a discount. They were just like, hey, I need somebody to help me. And so after a few months of that, I realized I think I have to be the one that goes and helps them. So this was 2018. A funny story, I was ready to quit, and my husband at the time, I had texted him. We had put our house for sale in Cincinnati and we were moving to Houston, which is where my family is. And I had texted him on a Wednesday and I said, I think we have enough money to hold us over. Can I just quit? And because I was just so miserable. And he said, why don't you just wait until we have a contract on the house? That way we know it's going to sell. 2 days later on Friday, my boss and the managing partner walked into my office and basically gave me an option to be like on a PIP performance improvement plan or to just like walk away, and they were going to give me a severance package. And it took everything in me to look sad, But the moment they walked out of my office, I packed up my stuff so fast and I never went back. I took the money and I ran, and it was like it was the greatest day of my life because I had been planning on starting my own firm, and I'd been telling clients like, "Hey, this is gonna happen. It's gonna happen soon." And literally that night, I went home. I was in the greatest mood. I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like now I have a cushion to start my own firm." Posted it in some Facebook groups I had already known, and I had my first client that night, and that was almost 8 years ago.
Wow, that is amazing. And sometimes it takes that corporate job to, or you get to a point where it's like burnout, or you're just not happy or unsatisfied,
Mhm,
whatever the case may be, to, and then sometimes, yeah, it's that push where, hey, like you said, they gave you options,
mhm.
then you kind of have to make that decision on your own to just go and follow your dreams or do what you want to believe or what you believe in.
Yep, exactly.
That is amazing. Now, the way I'm gonna start out, I'm gonna go over, ask you some questions related, business related, but then we got to get into trademarks and patents
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, starting off, what are some things that you see businesses miss or mistakes they make when they're first starting out?
Yeah, so I really call it the big three because every single business, no matter whether you're a crafting business, you're a content creator, you have a clothing store, every single business has these same three needs. And intellectual property is one of them. But before that is your business entity, which I'll cover, and then your written contracts, and then your intellectual property. So, number one is the big one, which is your business entity. And this is how you legally operate your business. So, if you haven't filed any documents with your state, you're likely a sole proprietor. My suggestion is to be an LLC as soon as possible because the LLC, it's a limited liability company and it's protecting you from the potential debts of your company. Even if right now you don't have debts, even if right now you don't have assets, you still want that layer of protection because you're protecting yourself now against anything you may acquire in the future. And we're protecting ourselves against those mistakes, the accidents, stuff we're not aware of, because most of us are solo business owners and we don't know everything. We're just trying, we're just figuring it out one day at a time. And the LLC honestly is just that added layer of protection to make sure that if mistakes happen, and trust me, they will happen eventually, especially the longer you're in business, more things can happen, which is fine. We just want to make sure we're protected. We want that LLC as soon as possible. You'll hear from people, oh, don't worry about the LLC until you're making this much money, or, for whatever reason. Typically what they're talking about is the S corp election. The S corp election is not an entity in and of itself. It's a tax filing status. So for most small business owners, it's typical to see an LLC taxed as an S corp. You cannot make that S corp election and get those tax savings until you're making a certain dollar amount. But the LLC, you get that liability protection immediately. You don't have to wait. You get that from day one and you want it from day one. So that's honestly one of the biggest mistakes that I see because you're just leaving yourself open to so much personal liability. Because if you accidentally do something that causes the business to get sued, they can come after your house, your car, anything you own personally.
Wow, that, and I'm glad you touched on that because I was actually going to ask you about that. So, piggybacking off of that, can you break down the difference LLC, S Corp, C Corp? Because I see that a lot.
Yes. So the LLC typically is best for small businesses because the LLC protects you as an individual, which is the same protection a corporation provides you with, but there's less oversight, less maintenance, less fees involved. And the corporation is typically the better way to go if you're going to have investors, if they want to have oversight in the company without operating the company. So think about corporation as you want to go that route if there are investors are or different layers of management. That's another way to think about it. But if you're a small business owner, really LLC typically is the way to go. And then once you are making enough money, then you want to go ahead and make that S corp election, which is the tax filing status. And hopefully you have a good business accountant. They can guide you on when to make the election. all the number details in there, because you have to pay yourself a salary, and it has to be a reasonable salary, and then anything on top, that's profit, and it's taxed at a lower rate. So that's where you can get a lot of tax savings, but definitely an accounting question.
Okay, gotcha. So I have a list of stuff. So if I'm looking off to the side that I wanted to ask you now, legal protections. What legal protections should businesses have in place when they're starting?
Yeah, so starting out with that LLC, you want to have the business entity, and then your contracts. Your contracts, this is going to vary depending on what kind of business you have, but just keep in mind, if anytime value is changing hands, you want to have a written contract. And if you have a website, always need your privacy policy and terms of use. The privacy policy governs what private information you're collecting, how you're using it, how you're storing it. So that is required by federal law. The terms of use, that's the contract between you and the visitor of your website. These contracts, especially if you have what I call an information site, so it's not an app, it's not a software, it's just an information site and you may be selling products. I strongly encourage starting with contract templates, especially when you're a brand new business owner, maybe you're not making much, because they're pretty easy to templatize. And then as you get more experience in business, you'll learn what you like, what you don't like in those contracts. And then I tell clients you can just graduate to a custom contract at that point. When you are making more money, you know what you need anyway. And because when you're starting out, you're like, I don't know, just give me what I need. And that's exactly how it happened for me starting to sell templates, because people were coming to me to pay for the custom contracts, but they didn't know what they needed. So they essentially were using my template anyway. So I always tell new business owners, start with templates and then graduate to those custom contracts. And keep in mind, anytime money's changing hands. So if you hire a contractor, if you have a podcast and you have a podcast editor, if you have a co-host, if you have a business partner. So anytime value is changing hands, anytime money's changing hands, you absolutely want to use a written contract.
Oh, wow. That was great information. That was a good tip. I never thought about that myself, but I'm a one woman show, so I haven't gotten to that point.
Yeah.
And you guys, you can drop any questions that you have in the chat. I'm going to pin them and then I'll ask them to Andrea as well as we're going.
Oh
So,
yeah, sorry, you asked all the legal, so the legal protection. So yeah,
oh
the
yeah.
LLC, contracts, and then intellectual property. So intellectual property, this is another added layer of protection. So your intellectual property is typically your most valuable asset. And this is patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Patents are new inventions of things. Trademarks are your brand identity. Copyrights are your content. So your trademarks are your brand name, your logo, a slogan, a product name, a service name, a course name, program name, podcast name. If you have any social media platforms, the unique names of those likely can be protected with a trademark. And then we have copyrights, which is the content. So your photos, your videos, your blog posts, your website copy, your long form captions. If you have a podcast, the podcast name is a trademark. Each episode is a copyright. And the cool thing about copyrights is you automatically have protection the moment the work is created. You don't have to have a registration. A lot of people get that confused. You don't have to have a registration. And it's really helpful so being on YouTube, you might be familiar with copyright takedowns, and these apply for every online platform. If somebody has taken your content, taken your photos, your videos, or even if they took your video and recreated it word for word, even just them saying it, that is copyright infringement. And instead of suing them, instead of having to get a copyright registration, you can go directly to the platform, submit a copyright takedown, and that content will typically be removed within a couple of days. Trademarks, on the other hand, you have to have a registration in order to have federal rights. So the takedown platform also applies for trademarks. So the trademark takedowns, it applies for trademarks, but you have to have a federal registration because you have to show ownership. And the only way to show ownership with trademarks is to have a federal registration. So when it comes to intellectual property, I typically tell clients your money is best spent on a federal trademark application.
Wow, that I'm glad you mentioned that. As far as when you're post your content or whatever it is, you're automatically protected. Now, with that, what would you suggest for content creators? How can content creators protect themselves when, I mean, we post videos on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, but how can we protect ourselves from that being taken from us?
Yeah, so keep in mind all of your content that you're creating, it's protected with a copyright. The moment you create it, it is protected with a copyright. So knowing you have that protection, if you find someone that has stolen your content, they've posted it on their own, that is copyright infringement, even if they give you credit. Even if they give credit. So I know somebody's watching right now and they're like, oh, I took somebody's video or I used somebody's photo. You might want to go back and scrub some stuff because it does happen quite often. I just posted a video yesterday of a photographer that sued a online clothing store for using his photo, and he won because anytime you use somebody's photo that does not belong to you, that is copyright infringement. So you want to make sure that you are using photos that you take or you have a license to use. And the license is just permission. So if you find a photo or a video that you like online, go to the creator and ask them, hey, I love this. Can I use it in whatever manner you want to use it? And if they say, yeah, great, that's all you need. Of course, we would love to have a written contract for it. But if they just say, yeah, go ahead and use it, that's all you need. Screenshot it, save it. Sometimes they may say, yeah, pay me $50 or yeah, pay me whatever. They may stick a price tag to it. And as long as you do that, there you go. There's your license.
Oh, wow. And actually, Yolanda had a question. Oh, no, that wasn't Yolanda. That's somebody else. So, what if you just put TM behind your idea like a slogan?
So TM, you actually can use. It means you claim to have the trademark rights. It does not mean that you do have the trademark rights. Once you have a federal trademark registration, you can use the R circle symbol, and that means you do actually have the registration. You do have the exclusive rights to use that mark. Now, when it comes to copyrights, you can use the copyright symbol as well. You can use that at any time.
Oh, that's good to
Mhm.
know. That is really good to know because I do see. I thought you couldn't use it until everything has been active or approved.
Yeah, no, that's a common misconception. The copyright symbol you can use at any time. So if you have unique designs, patterns that you create, you can use the copyright symbol there. Trademarks, the TM, you can use that at any time, but it doesn't mean you have trademark rights. You're just claiming to have them. And then the R circle means you do actually have the rights.
Oh, wow. Well, there you guys go. Now that's a good tip for those that, may have their brand name that they want to use across social media or their business or whatnot. Perfect. Let me see. Now, as far as trademarks go, use Google and you'll see companies, we can help you with your trademark for $49 or $350.
Yeah.
What is the average actual cost of a trademark? And what do you think about those companies that offer those services that cheap?
Be very careful. I will tell you a story that literally just happened yesterday, but first I'll tell you our fees. So my law firm, Andrea Sager Law, you can go to andreasager.com and find all of our information. I'm currently ranked number 22 out of 40,000 trademark attorneys in the United States. So really good at what I do. I love trademarks. They are my absolute favorite. And we charge 2,850 for the search and the application. That does include the filing fees, and that does include trademark takedowns once you're registered. So there's a lot more that's included than just, hey, we're going to file and that's it. So we get the search done, make sure you have a good chance at getting approved. I'm not going to file anything that I know is not getting approved. So once we file, you're pretty much in the clear there because we have every, I think it's 98% or 99% of all of our applications get approved. So very good chances. Um, Now for those other sites, I mean, you're better off filing filing on your own with the trademark office. it takes a minute to figure it out. But if you're somebody that's like, hey, I honestly just cannot afford to work with a lawyer, just file it on your own, because all of those third-party companies, most of them are a scam, and some of them are filing too many. And so the trademark office actually has flagged them for fraud, and they're canceling all their trademarks. So I've actually acquired a few clients because it's just been one headache after another, and we've had to go in and do a lot of corrective measures. But also, what you have to be aware of if you are filing on your own is the spam. You are going to get bombarded with emails, phone calls, text messages, and they're going to tell you, like, hey, you have to pay this now, you have to pay that now. And I get even people that didn't file with us, they ask me all the time, like, hey, is this legit? Is that legit? No. Most of the time, none of it is ever legit, but there's so many scams out there. And so you really have that peace of mind when you work with a trademark attorney, knowing like, hey, all official communication goes through my lawyer. If it's not coming from my lawyer, I'm ignoring it.
Wow. Now, speaking of trademarks, now how when you mentioned the trademarks as far as for something that a person invented or
Mhm.
created, how do you know how the trademark is able or how they are passing or approving trademarks on, say, slogans like the term boy mom has been trademarked, but the person that trademarked it didn't come up with that phrase? Or, certain
Mhm.
techniques. I had someone that was contacting a bunch of YouTubers a couple years ago about a technique we were using in embroidery. And she got a patent on that, even though that technique has been used. So what are people presenting at the trade or to the trademark office that they're able to get these things approved?
So when it comes to patents, you do have to actually be the first in the market. You have to be the first that invented it. You have a limited time to actually file that patent. So new inventions, if you have invented something and you think, oh, this might be eligible for patent protection, you want to get on that sooner rather than later, because if you don't get it filed within a certain amount of time, you may lose that potential protection forever. Now, for trademarks, you do not have to be the one that came up with the term. You have to be the first that used it for commercial purposes. So the first that used it in business. So, and the other thing about trademarks, it's not just the same exact name that can be infringement. It's anything similar enough to where consumers are likely to be confused. That's a big one that gets a lot of business owners in trouble, because you may look up like the business name you want to use and you don't find anything that's a direct match, and so you think you're good to go. And unfortunately, a couple of months later, you get the dreaded cease and desist letter and learn that, oh, I do have to rebrand. That's happened more times than I can count. Not the end of the world, but it is very disheartening, especially when you're just starting out in business and you just get that cease and desist letter. So when you're starting a new business, a new project, a new offering, you want to make sure that you have the rights you think you have to the name or whatever you're creating. And really, the best way to do that is working with an actual IP attorney. Um, DIY, I'm all for DIYers. I'm a self-proclaimed DIYer. But some things really you just don't want to risk it, because when it comes to trademarks, the day you file your application to the day you're registered, it's over a year. So you may be operating for a year and realize like, oh, I can't even use this name because I'm infringing on someone else. So in order to make sure that you have the green light and you can run with the name, your best option is to work directly with a lawyer.
Oh, wow. I'm glad you brought that up because within the craft community, especially, and that's something that we had initially talked about when I reached out to you, is that you see a lot of Etsy shops getting shut down, a lot of TikTok
Mhm.
shops, things, people getting flagged because they're using these trademark brands.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that as far as the legal ramifications that come along with that, besides the cease and desist, what other legal issues can you have for using someone's trademark?
Yeah, so a few things. So you can get the dreaded cease and desist letter. You can get those takedowns, and each platform has like their own rules, and it's not typically they're not official rules like published, but I think Etsy did, or they hover around the 3 strike rule. So if
Mhm.
you get 3 strikes, they'll just permanently delete your account. A lot of like Meta, they have I don't want to call it the 3 strike rule, because I've seen accounts have one and they just immediately delete their account. Um, so every online platform has the potential, you have the potential to lose your entire account if you are infringing on someone else's trademark, their copyright, their patent, because they can the owner of the IP can submit the takedowns, and the platform has it in their discretion to just either to just remove the content or to delete your account.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, one question, let's see. I see Kim has, what about reselling items that you sold from trademark patterns?
So it is going to depend on where you purchase it, what the terms are. Most of the time, you cannot resell it unless you have a commercial license. And even though, let me preface this, because you'll find some commercial licenses on Etsy, but they don't have the rights to give you that. So I every once in a while I'll see like a pattern of like Dallas Cowboy pattern on Etsy, and they're like, "Oh, here's a single use license or a commercial license." I promise you Dallas Cowboys are not selling a license on Etsy. So, especially the bigger brands, they're
Mhm.
never going to sell a license on Etsy. Don't believe that. Um, if you're finding an actual pattern that somebody did create that you want to resell, you want to reach out to them and ask for a commercial license. So you'll find like there's a single use license, which means you can purchase it to use it and make your own products or do whatever you want for your personal use, but you cannot resell it. The commercial license is if you want to create products and then resell them.
Okay. And that's probably, you guys, probably similar to the licensed fabrics that we could get at Michael's or
Mhm.
RIP Joann's, but where it says at the bottom on the salvage for personal use only. So you
Yes,
can make something for yourself. You can even make a gift for someone, but you can't do anything of monetary value with that. Is that correct,
correct.
Andrea?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. And I see a couple more questions here. Let's see.
And I would also I want to go back to that for just a second, because if you're creating patterns, you want to be aware of what you're selling as well, because this is where a lot of passive income comes in, and a lot of people don't realize it. And this is what I mean. Intellectual property is typically your most valuable asset, because you can create a pattern, you can create, let's just talk about patterns. So you create a pattern and you can sell it to people for a single use. But if they want to then be able to resell it, then you sell it for a much higher markup. And the numbers there can vary widely. I tell clients, just think about um, if they're going to sell it to 100 people, what would that cost? Like, how much money would you make by selling it to 100 people? And you don't want to charge them exactly that, because you don't have the marketing costs involved, you don't have the overhead involved. But just think about, okay, if they're selling it to 100 people, maybe what would be my profit? So it's just that's just a couple of things to think about if you're thinking about what should be the commercial price or the wholesale price.
Okay, that's good information because especially there's a lot of digital designers online that sell their designs or their templates. So that's really good information.
Hmm.
Now, let's see. So say I pay you to trademark something for me and it has been taken. What would happen in that case?
Yeah, great question. So the first step with us is the search. So the search takes about a week or 2 weeks. We're out there scouring, looking for the name, anything similar. What are the chances we would get approved? What are the roadblocks we're going to encounter in the application process? We're looking for everything. So if it comes back and we tell you like, hey, we're not going to file this. We're not going to waste your time. We're not going to waste your money. You can typically in that situation, you can come up with a new name or a new whatever it is, slogan, logo, whatever it is, and we'll do another search at no cost to you. And then if you've already paid for the application and you decide, hey, I don't want to I'm not going to change it, I'm just don't want to file, then we'll just refund the application fee.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. That was a good question too. And this one, I want to say this question, I have this website saved as a favorite, is bookmarked, and I check it weekly. But can you look up the name to check to see if it's in use?
Yeah, so uspto.gov, you can go there and search names. However, keep in mind, it's not going to be a perfect search because you also have to look for the similarities. So it's always a great starting point to search on your own and find if there is a direct hit. But that's why our search is more comprehensive because we know how to look for the similarities. It's not even just, let's say if your brand was ABC, we're not even looking just for the ABC. We're looking for ABBEESEE. So even spelling it out, different phonetic similarities. There's a lot of different ways that things can be similar and not be a direct match, and how you would be able to find it on the trademark office. But absolutely search the trademark office, uspto.gov, and you can search trademarks there.
Okay. Yeah, I keep that up. I look at it often because nowadays in the craft community, people are trademarking phrases, slogans that they didn't create, but then they're trademarking them and then
Mm-hmm.
they're offering a licensing fee. So they're basically
Mm-hmm.
doing it for profit.
Yeah. And we do have our trademark course, which includes our longest module is the search module because I go in depth on how to actually find all the similarities. And because in my opinion, and most trademark attorneys, the most important step is the search. So once you can get past that search part and you know like, oh, I'm good to go here, really it's once you file that application, it's just a waiting game. So that's what I tell clients, like once we do the search and we give you the green light, it's just a waiting game. You can run with the name after that.
Okay. And here's another good question. Since we're talking about trademarks, how can we avoid trademark issues? And not sure if you spoke on this, but yeah, how can we avoid those issues when filing?
So just like we discussed, doing your own search, but also if you're coming up with a new brand name, new products, anything that you want the peace of mind, you can pay for a trademark search. We do that for a lot of clients where we'll do the search. They're not interested in filing the trademark. They just wanted to make sure that they can run with it and not have any trademark issues. So that's definitely a possibility as well. And so if you have a lot of if you're not sure what you already have in your business, we actually have a business audit and we tell you, okay, if you have an LLC, is it in compliance? Exactly what contracts for your offerings that you need, what potential trademarks, what potential copyrights you have in your business. So we lay it out all for you. It's all totally custom, one-on-one. And there's two options. You can either pay just for the report, $27, and then there's the report and a one-on-one call, $57. So very affordable. I talk about this stuff all day long, especially on social media, and I always get the question, well, does it apply to my business? What about my business? And so every business is different. You still have the same protection, but this is our way of being able to really just tailor it to you, of telling you, hey, this is exactly what you have. These are exactly the red flags to look out for. These are your priorities of legal protection.
Okay, perfect. And then here's another trademark question. You guys are coming up with some good questions. Um, what if the design logo you created and the paperwork to show is yours, you have the paperwork show is yours, but you haven't filed the trademark yet? Are you still protected in that case?
You might have some protection, which we call common law protection. It's definitely not federal protection, and you can't enforce it online. You can't do much with it. So that's why you want to get it filed as soon as possible. But if you haven't filed it yet, you might still have some protection.
Okay, good question. Good question. Okay, I'm going through the comments. Well, let me jump over here to my list of notes. Now, question about that kind of business and trademark. As far as if you file a LLC, do you need to file a LLC for each business, or can you have a parent company and then sub companies?
Great question. I love this one. So it will depend on the businesses and your risk level. So keep in mind everything, all the legal stuff I talk about, it's not illegal to operate without an LLC. It's not illegal to operate without contracts, but it's very risky. And so all of these things are lowering your risk level. And just like you want to be protected from the debts of your company, that's the purpose of the LLC. You may want to separate businesses from each other. Otherwise, if one business gets sued, they can come after the assets of the other business. So I always tell clients assess the risk levels. And a good example is if you have you're selling your products to individuals and then you start to sell wholesale, that's one. Similar risk levels, different customers, but similar risk levels. They can be under the same LLC or you can separate them out. However, if you have you're selling your products and then you have a real estate company, you have a rental property, two different risk levels, absolutely want those under two separate LLCs. So it honestly just comes down to what the businesses are, what the risks are, and what's going to help you lower your risk more.
Okay. Now, with trademarks, is it well, of course it wouldn't be the same, but as far as can you do you suggest when you're filing a trademark to like file it under multiple different, I get, I'm not sure the exact word, but if you're
Yeah.
using it for, for apparel, or if you're using it, you can use it for multiple things. Do you suggest
Yeah.
doing it broad or narrowing it down to how you're going to use that trademark? And does that increase or decrease your chance of getting your trademark approved?
So this will depend on what we find in the search. Sometimes there might be a similar trademark out there and it might trigger a refusal. And so in that situation, we do want to get very narrow to try and avoid that refusal.
Okay.
But if that's not the case, then we do want to be as broad as possible. That way we can cover as much ground as possible. Now, when you file the trademark, you are filing in different classes of goods and services. There's 45 different classes of goods and services. Everything you do will fall under at least one. And in the search, if we do the search for you, we also tell you how many classes you can file in, what you qualify for, and then we can kind of decide, hey, do we want to file in all of these? Do we just want to file in one? What's the priority here? But we do make you aware, hey, this is what you can do. And so ideally, you want to be as broad as possible to cover as much ground as possible. Sometimes we have to be strategic and get it very narrow to avoid any potential refusal.
Okay, that makes sense. And this is a really good question. Is there a way to block a trademark, like if another business is trying to use your name?
Yeah, so if you have if you've even just filed your application and they file the day after you, they won't get approved.
Okay, so you're almost protected as soon as
Hmm.
you file, as once that
Yes,
application has been submitted.
yes.
Oh, that's good to know. So I know I had someone ask me that before, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I'm not an attorney,
Yeah,
so I
and
can't
it has
speak.
to be the same or a similar name and the same or similar goods and services. So, great example, my law firm is Andrea Sager Law. And by the way, legal names also need to be protected. Just because you have a legal name doesn't mean you're legal to conduct business with that name. You can still be infringing on somebody else's trademark, even if it is your legal name. So
Oh,
just keep that in mind. So my law firm is Andrea Sager Law. If there is Andrea Sager Law Firm and Associates, Andrew Seeger Law Firm, any variation thereof, that's all trademark infringement. But if there is Andrea Sager, the handbag company, that's not infringement because it's not likely that my clients would think I own a handbag company.
Right.
So a handbag company, a makeup brand, a craft products, if it's not related to the law, likely infringement. I mean, likely not infringement.
Not infringement. Now, we talked about content creation and, content creators protecting themselves. I seen one of your videos, you touched on it, in perpetuity.
Oh yes, let's talk about
Yes.
it.
Now, I have contracts, there's other content creators that have brand deals, things like that, and that in perpetuity. Break that down for us.
Yes. Never, ever, ever give away in perpetuity. And I'm going to explain why. But honestly, especially if you're new to getting brand deals, sponsorships, I highly suggest working with a lawyer those first few because you really want to learn how to negotiate. And I can almost guarantee you're leaving money on the table, you're hurting yourself, until you really learn, you can do it on your own, but you have to learn. So in perpetuity, never, ever, ever do that. I've turned down I don't know how many brand deals because they're like, oh, we just want it in perpetuity because it's easier for us. Like, yeah, I understand that, but I'm not giving you my rights in perpetuity. And the reason is number one, if you give a brand usage rights in perpetuity, which means forever, you can never, ever, ever give another brand in the same industry exclusivity. And likely another brand won't work with you if you can't even give them a day of exclusivity. So that is the reason, the number one reason why you do not ever want to give away any usage rights in perpetuity, because you have to think about the exclusivity. Number two, so when I quote a brand, every day I get offers, I give them my rate, and that is my rate for typically 1 month of usage and exclusivity.
Okay.
If they want to use that for 3 months, that rate gets multiplied by 3. If they want to buy for 12 a year, multiplied by 12. And usually if it's longer than like 3 or 6 months, then if they want to pay for 12 months, then I'll do some kind of discount. But don't sell yourself short. You really have to understand the value of what you're creating. It may take you 5 minutes to create what they're asking for. But if they were to have to pay a whole production team, models, like everything involved, it's going to cost 100 times of what you're likely charging them. So you have to be aware of the true value that you're creating for these brands. I could talk all day long about brand deals. And always, always, always have a written contract.
Yes. I was
That's a huge one. If a brand wants to come to you and say, hey, and this email's fine, we don't need a written contract, red flag, number one. Number two, if they're a real brand, like they will have written contracts. And if you need one, we have templates as well. So always feel free to reach out if you need a contract template. But the other thing is payment. I had a brand deal last year, and it was a very quick turnaround because they didn't really drop the ball. They're if you work with corporate companies and brand deals, it's just like layer after layer of approval, and then it's at the last minute they're like, oh, we got this approval. It's like, bro, we started talking about this 6 months ago. Like, what are you talking about? You want this tomorrow? No. Anyways, stick to your own terms, because this brand, they tried to tell me like, oh, we'll pay by this date. I'm like, no, I will not produce anything for you. And like, if this is within 30 days of you need of deliverables, paid in full upfront, I will not deliver anything. Typically, I require like half upfront. Some brands will do quarterly or quarter upfront, depending on how far out it is. But if they're asking for like a deliverable next week, do not do anything until you have that money.
That makes sense.
So many times I see creators get shorted because they hurried up and provided the deliverable. Like, if they really want your content, they will pay. And if they want to say like, oh, well, we have to get through all these approvals and blah, 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 fine, we can wait. We can push it out. That's fine.
Right. Wow, that was good information. Now, with that, both for content creators, small businesses, I mean, even being a content creator, if you're making money, your business.
Yes.
How do you feel about businesses using payment services like PayPal, Cash App, Zelle as their form of payment for their businesses?
Don't. No, I mean, don't, but I understand, like, if you're what happens is people become an accidental business, and that's just how they start operating, but understand that's not the ideal way to do things,
Right.
especially accepting PayPal payments. Do not use PayPal. PayPal, especially if you're a service provider or a content creator or coach, uh, if you have online, like, digital courses, do not accept PayPal because PayPal will not protect you if there are chargebacks. And a chargeback is when the customer goes to the payment company and they say, "Hey, I didn't get what I paid for. This was fraud," and so they reverse the charge. If the customer goes to PayPal, PayPal will give you an opportunity to fight the charge and you can win. But if the customer then goes directly to the credit card company outside of PayPal, the credit card company will take the money from PayPal and PayPal will take the money from you, even if you already won the chargeback. Because PayPal specifically says in their terms of use, they don't protect service providers. PayPal was created for product based businesses, businesses that ship things. So that is who they were made to protect.
Wow. Yeah, I did use PayPal years ago. I want to say in 2021. That happened once. I got one chargeback and have never used PayPal again. So,
They
yeah.
can be a big headache. Yeah. But it's also just assessing the risk. That's what I'm always talking about is just assessing your risk. I have a client who makes probably like $80,000 a month from a $10 per month subscription. And she's like, "Andrea, 90% of my business is on PayPal." And she's like, "We rarely get a chargeback, but even if we get 10 a month, I mean, that's $100." She's like, "I'm not worried about that. And we've never had 10 in a month." And I'm like, "You know what? That's fine. Like, as long as you understand the risk." And for her, it makes sense. But a lot of times, like I had one client who's a service provider. I think at the time she was designing websites and it was like a $20,000 invoice that she lost from PayPal because the customer filed a chargeback. So it's really just looking at your risk and weighing the options.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I stay away from PayPal. I don't even have Cash App and Zelle.
Yeah.
I just have for personal use only.
Hmm.
This is a good one. Let's see. Do I need to trademark my business names that are under my trust?
Yes, yes. All your business assets, so all of your brand identity. So don't think of trademarks as one and done. Like, "Oh, I trademark my brand name, done." If it's a business asset, it's a unique identifier. You probably want to protect it with a trademark. So your brand name, your logo, a slogan. And when it comes to logos, I will say a lot of businesses will slap something together to just say, "Hey, here's my logo," but they're not in love with it. And they put it together knowing, "Hey, I'm going to have something that's more in alignment with me later."
Mhm.
I would not protect that first logo just because you're going to refile later or you're going to have another logo later. And if you know that you have a logo that you love and you're going to stick with it, protect that.
Okay, and all these would have to be different trademarks. Your name, your logo, your slogan, they would each
Correct.
be individual trademarks.
Yes.
Okay. And let's see. Oh, here's another one. How to prevent chargebacks when banks do it?
So it's
Is there a way
hard.
to prevent?
Yeah, it's hard to prevent them. You just have to know how to protect yourself and fight it when it happens. So this means having rock solid contracts. And because clients ask me the same thing all the time. And I tell them you can't prevent it because people are going to just be assholes and do what they want to do. But you have to know how to protect yourself if it does happen. So having rock solid contracts, um, being able to show all the evidence of like, "Hey, they paid for this. This is how I delivered." That's what they want to see. They want to, like, if they say, "Hey, this isn't what I paid for," hey, here we go. Or if they want to say, "Oh, this was fraud," show them the emails where the person said, hey, I got what I paid for. I loved it. Thank you so much. So yeah, you just have to know how to fight the chargeback and win. If you've been in business for any amount of time, you're going to experience a chargeback eventually. It's just part of doing business. But having those contracts is really the number one thing the bank wants to see.
Yeah, I did have a chargeback last year, and the person stated that they never got their item. Lo and behold, we're friends on social media,
Mhm.
and I saw this person wearing the item, and they were happy about it. And I presented that proof, and I won that because I was able to show that this person did, in fact, get their item that they said they did.
Good. Good for you.
Yeah, I want all my money. So
Heck yeah.
let's see. Here's another one. Can you file trademark filing on your taxes?
Yes, you can claim all of the legal stuff for your business. It is a legit business expense, so you can put it as an expense on your taxes and it'll reduce your tax liability. Absolutely. So anything you file, like if you pay my law firm, if you pay Legalpreneur, which is our sister company, anything you pay for legal protection for your business, that is a business expense.
Okay, great. That was a good question because
Usually at the end of the
yeah,
like at the end of the year, I
I
always
never thought about.
post on social media like, hey, if you need to lower your tax liability, don't forget about your legal protection.
Yes, and your business expenses, make sure and include
Hmm.
that stuff and keep your receipts. Keep your
Yes.
receipts. And how long is a trademark good for?
Perfect. So a trademark can it last indefinitely? It can last forever. You do have to renew it. The first renewal is between 5 and 6 years after registration, then 10 and 11 years after registration, and then every 10 and 11 years after that. So as long as you keep renewing it, it'll live on forever.
Okay. And Kim wanted to know, do you offer these types of did you mean contracts within your services? So I'll make sure to have all of Andrea's information linked in the description box. But yeah, if you can let the people know what all services you do offer.
Yeah, so with my law firm, trademarks, custom contracts, anything a small business needs. Right now, I don't know if you've all heard of the great wealth transfer. We're doing a lot of mergers and acquisitions, so a lot of business deals. But I always say we're a full service firm for small businesses. And then Legalpreneur, the legalpreneur.com, it's all the legal resources. So we can file your LLC, contract templates. We have that business audit. That's a really great place for people to start if they're like, I don't even know what I need. I don't, business audit. That's what you need, business audit. And then we also have a membership, the Legalpreneur membership. It covers the LLC filing. You just have to pay the government filing fees, all of our contract templates, the trademark courses included in there. So there's a lot of resources that we have, and you can find all that at thelegalpreneur.com.
Okay. And you mentioned business audit. So is that a solo service that you offer or is it part
Mhm.
of a package?
No, you can do just the business audit. It's either $27 for basically we just email you the packet, and then $57 if you want the packet and there's a call. You can get all your questions answered, everything.
And what goes into the audit? Like what are some of the things that you're looking at?
So we're looking to see what legal protection do you already have. So some people may say like I have nothing or I have no idea, and we can tell them like, okay, here's what you have. And if you already have your LLC filed, we can tell you, okay, is it still in compliance? Do you need to submit any renewals? Is there anything else that needs to be done with the LLC? Contracts, we tell you exactly what contracts you need for what offers you have in your business. And then your intellectual property, we tell you, okay, here's the potential trademarks you have, here's all the copyrights you have in your business. So we could just give you a full picture of what your business has, what it needs, and then kind of like best next steps, like, hey, here's your priorities. Because the legal stuff can be very overwhelming, especially if you've been in business for quite a while and you've never really done anything with the protection. There can be a lot that can be done, but we just break it down into, hey, here's the priority, here's where you're really leaving yourself open to liability and what needs to be taken care of as soon as possible.
Okay, Great. And so we're nearing our time here with Andrea. She has given us so much information, so many good gems. Anything you want to wrap up with? And again, I will have all her contact information. So if you want to reach out to her for a consultation or any of the services that she provides, you'll be able to do so. But what did I not touch on that you want to mention before we get off?
Honestly, I think we covered it all. Usually I'm like, oh, I want to touch on this thing, but we covered a lot.
Yes, yes. And coming from being a crafter and a business owner and a content creator is just, so much that I see. And, especially with the trademark things, people, you're putting yourself at risk. Um,
Hmm.
NFL, NBA, Disney, these luxury brands, just don't do it. Don't do
Yeah, I've become, I don't want to say friends with the Louis Vuitton attorneys, but I've had my fair share of clients that have had their letters. So
Oh my God.
don't do that.
Yeah, you can risk it all. And correct me if I'm wrong, even with those risks, not only can they hit you with a cease and desist, but they can also not only sue you, but take your equipment.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah. So be careful with that, you guys. Andrea, this has been amazing. Amazing. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And I'm going to stay on the live and just chat with everybody for a little bit. But, oh, and one last question before we leave that just popped up. Would trademarks apply to schools?
Yes, absolutely.
So trademarks do apply to schools. All right. Well, thank you, Andrea. We appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
and your knowledge. And you guys, if you want to work with Andrea or get a consultation, her information is below. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye. All right, guys. That was a wealth of information from a attorney that specializes in trademarks. And as she said, she's number 40 in the entire US. So that says a lot about her skills. I'm definitely doing a consultation with her. So yeah, check it out. You can get a consultation, see what services you need from her. But what really helped you guys? What stood out, or what questions were asked that you were like, oh, I didn't know that? Because I had a lot of light bulb moments, but I'm someone that also searches the USPTO on a regular. So with people trademarking stuff the way they are, it's insane. Um just going through the comments, so much information. Thank you, Faker. Yeah, it's just I see so many of us in the craft community, I especially on TikTok. And I tell people, I've reached out to people, privately, like, hey, you might want to be careful. Um, the situation that happened a couple years ago with the one lady stalking YouTubers, that trend is actually coming back. And I reached out to one of my mutuals on TikTok to let her know, because this is kind of her business, and I'm not going to mention her name, but I'm like, you need to be careful, because if this person finds you, they're going to try and get your Etsy shop flagged and removed. It's like, so be careful, but I can only tell a person, here's the information, do with it as you may. um, and let me just see here, just going through the comments. Made the process less intimidating. Yeah, it's like you get the social media lawyers, but to have an actual lawyer, confirm or debunk certain rumors or myths is always a good thing. Let's see what else we got. Wow, my head is spinning with the knowledge. Yeah, I learned a lot, and I go down a rabbit hole because I want to protect myself. I want to protect my business. So, but there was so much in there that just made sense. And I'm just like, wow, I didn't know that. So I probably will go back and rewatch this and take some notes. Um, and especially for those that watch the replay, yeah, this is really good information from beginning to end. And she's obviously very good at what she does. Yes, the trademark information, because people don't realize. I think the trademark information and the LLC information was really good because people don't realize how many layers that is, especially with the trademarks. Again, you Google some companies and they're like, yeah, we can trademark, you know, this for $100 or for $49. And it's like, yeah, but are you going to file it correctly? And is it going to get rejected? And then I'm going to have to, take more steps to even get it approved. So, which is going to cost you more money. So you might as well reach out, pay that money to a lawyer, know that it's going to be filed correctly, and knowing, especially someone like Andrea, who is a business owner that has your best interests at heart. Let's see. That has been great information. So appreciative. Thank you both for this. Yeah, I definitely thank Andrea because she took the time out of her day. It was very, very enlightening for me as well. Yes, understanding the common phrases. Yeah, and the question I should have asked is how can they determine if that person was the first person to use that trademark? So if I make up a word today, but I don't use it, or I make up a phrase today and I don't use it for months, but then someone else uses it and they create a product with it, does it mean that they used it first and I no longer have no claim to that? But yeah, understanding that, and it's insane that people can trademark phrases that have been around for years, a long time, but they still get approved. And it is business. It's becoming business within the craft community because people see a phrase or a slogan or a name and they'll just trademark it and just wait for somebody to use it so they can get their business, especially on Etsy. Etsy don't play no games. They will shut you down immediately. So, or they'll take that listing down at least immediately. But still, yeah, just making sure you're protected, you're protecting your brand, your business, all those things. Make sure you have the USPTO website saved. I have mine saved and bookmark as a favorite, and I visit that all the time just to double check because just so many phrases are being trademarked nowadays. Let's see, like the school, and they want you to do stuff. Oh, you should do a contract. Yeah, if you're doing something with the school, you definitely want to do a contract. Like, I recently got a contract with a local casino to embroider some shirts for them. But yeah, I'm able to, of course, I'm having to digitize and embroider their logo. And so that is in the contract. There's specific verbiage in the contract that I am able. Now, I'm not going to be creating it, reselling it. Of course, you can't do anything like that. But I do have that in a contract. So yeah, always protect yourself. Even if a business reaches out to you and wants you to make, certain products for them, make sure you have something in writing, even if it's an email. When I'm doing custom, especially custom embroidery, and outside of it, if it's someone that I'm close to, someone that I know, is kind of a little different. But even then, that person sending me that file or that design in an email. So I have proof of that. But still, make sure you are protecting yourself. Make sure you have contracts. Make sure that don't leave any room for error or any room for a lawsuit. Basically, cover yourself, cross your T's, dot your I's. It may take a few. I always make sure I have something in writing. And normally, if it's a embroidery I'm creating a order whether it's for a single item or a bulk item, they have to sign off at the bottom of the approval sheet that I sent to them. They have to approve the design and they have to sign off on it. I don't care if they're just scribbling it, across their phone with their finger or whatever, but I need proof that you approved this design, and then I need your signature. You approved it and you signed it. So I make sure I'm covered. Let's see. I'm still shocked. It I'm still shocked. It first to file, not invented. Yes, it's first. I didn't know that either. I thought you had to actually come up with, the design or, whatever it was. I didn't realize, yeah, it was the first to file. So that's why people are out here just all willy-nilly trademarking stuff that they know they did not come up with. I appreciate you hosting her. I needed this information. Yes, and I'm going to also share her TikTok because you can ask her a question on TikTok and she usually replies with a video response to a lot of comments. And that's how I found her. She was replying to someone's comments and then I just went through her TikTok page and I was flagging all kind of stuff and downloading videos. I was like, "Oh, I need to save this for later." So check out her TikTok too. I'll make sure to link it below after the live if I haven't already. Let's see. It can be overwhelming. Do you hire a lawyer if you're starting from zero? I would definitely recommend a consultation. She does have a checklist on her website. You could go in there, enter your information, and it sends you like a checklist of kind of like business necessities, things you need to look at when starting a business. So that is a free a tool that she has on her website. And I would say if you're just starting out and you have a lot of questions, I would say go with a lawyer. Just find one within your budget. It's better to be safe than sorry because you can hear 15 different answers from 15 different people, especially when it comes to social media. And, there's a lot of business coaches and things like that, but do these business coaches have their law degree, and what makes them an expert in this field? So when it comes to the coaches and things like that on social media, I want to see your credentials before I'm going to give you my money. But definitely I would say if it's in your budget, do a consultation with a lawyer and then go from there. And everyone is trying to scam these days. So just get it over with the right way. Exactly. Yeah. And people are even taking people's social media names and they're signing up with different apps. So when you go to say and try and sign up for this app, your name's already taken. And this person may reach out to you and say, "Hey, if you want to use this name, I can give it to you, but you have to pay me $500 or you have to pay me $1,000." So I actually started going across platforms and just saving my name, even if it's a platform I did not use. And just so I have my name on lock because people are doing that. That is another way, in addition to trademarking phrases and words, people are going and using your username and then trying to sell it back to you. Faker. Oh, no, that wasn't Faker. Petra. Can be overwhelming. How do you hire a lawyer when someone starts from zero? So just again, find an attorney. Try and find someone in your budget that specializes in, small business law, trademark law, IP infringement, or whatever the case may be. Start there and then, kind of make a list. Don't just go with the first person you see. Make a list. Do your pros and cons. Is this person able to offer you the services that you needed or the services that you need right now? And will they be able to offer you additional or assist you with additional services that you may need in the future? So those are things that I look for, is, the right now and then in the long term. Let's see. I wanted to work with schools, and people wanted me to do logos for schools. So glad I didn't do it. Yeah, you have to be careful with that. You will have people reaching out. Hey, can you make this design for me? And this big brand and already, and no, you don't want to take that risk unless you're able to get a license from them to do so. Don't do it. I don't care if it's a one off, if you're not going to post it or show it to anybody, you're just sending it directly to that person. That can put you at risk. It can come back to you. So if that somebody asks that person or they mention it to the wrong person, it could come back to you. So be very careful with that. These luxury brands, Disney is notorious for sending cease and desist and getting Etsy shop shut down. So if you're making Disney stuff, and I get it, if you're just starting out, maybe you're on social media and you post something and people want to order it from you, and it's a quick sale because it's familiar to people. People know these brands already, and you're charging a fraction of the cost of what it would cost from the brand. Or you're making designs that with that brand's logo or image that you don't see anywhere else. So people want it, but you're putting yourself at risk. Yeah, you're making money, but eventually you're going to have to use that money for a lawyer for that lawsuit when it comes. So just be smart about it. Just because you can make a quick buck. The way I think about it, does my bank account have as many zeros in it as Disney attorneys? And it don't. So if I know I don't have the legal team that these big brands have, I'm not putting myself at risk. Not ever. Yeah, that is crazy. They could pull that off and trademark. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, the USPTO will be your friend as a crafter, especially. Or if you have a product-based service, especially if you're making custom items. Yes, even when I have people reach out from schools that, yeah, they want sweatshirts with the school's, logo and things like that. And I'm just like, yeah, I need approval before I can do that. Otherwise, I'm putting myself at risk for a lawsuit. Fraternities and sororities, if you don't have approval, that's another one. They will shut you down. They will send that cease and desist. So just be careful, even with fraternities and sororities. You have to have that approval. Uh, yes, think about the song Bling Bling. Now everyone is using it. Lil Wayne said, I wish I knew exactly. Everyone is using it. Certain phrases, I mean, you just have to be careful. Like, what was that a couple years ago when Meg Thee Stallion came out with Hot Girl Summer, and then everyone started making Hot Girl Summer merch, and I believe that phrase was ended up getting trademarked. And I don't believe Meg Thee Stallion was the one that even trademarked it. So even though she came out with that song, again, it goes back to the first person to claim it, or the first person to file the trademark, not the first person that, we, the general public, seen using it, which is crazy. Um, Oh, remember she said no email. That is true. Now I do send my contracts through email. Excuse me. So I do send everything through email, but it's a PDF. And so they have to, they have to approve, approve by, they have to sign there, and then there's a signature line in addition to the approved by. So, and then there is also a checkbox. Do you approve this design? Yes or no? And that has to be checked. Then it has to be signed, and there's additional signature. Now, do I probably need two signatures? Probably not, but do I have them? I definitely do. So yes, as far as just using the email, now you can use it to help as far as a paper trail, but always have your documents in some type of PDF document format. um Don't forget to, yes, you guys, please like the live. because that was just so much good information, and it's evergreen. This is going to be information that people can come back to, down the line or later, and it's still going to be relevant. Let's see here. Do you have info on? So, if you go to the USPTO, you can type it in, and it's going to come up, and they basically put it under the class. I believe it's called. Oh, sorry, y'all. Looks like I cut out for a minute. So they I believe they put it under the class for merchandise, or something to that effect. I don't know the exact terms or the exact words, but yeah, people are trademarking phrases. I don't think girl mom has been trademarked. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to check, but I know for sure boy mom has. There's been some other phrases that I've seen, and I'm just like, seriously. Like there was a lady, well, not even the lady that started the word or the term gold digger, GOAL digger, but that's trademark as well. So that was popular for a while, and then it died off once it started getting around that it was trademark. They be off the chain. Exactly. Exactly. That's probably why your own design should not be put out until you trademark it. Yeah, your designs, or your brand name, things like that, you definitely want to be careful. Now, again, once you post it, you do, like Andrea said, there is some protection that you do have. And a lot of people don't realize that even as a content creator, you post a video. If someone tries to go and repost that video, you're protected by that. I've had that happen a few times where, my someone will take my video and maybe put a portion of my video into their video, and I didn't know about it, but when I went into YouTube, and I believe it's copyright, it came up like a possible match. And I didn't even know, like, YouTube tracked it. And so I was like, yeah, and I asked YouTube, I responded back, yeah, asked them to remove it. YouTube gives them 7 days. Either they have to remove it, or I believe they get a violation. So check your copyright section on YouTube Studio, because this happened to me a few times with shorts and my long form content, where I've seen a few people have like chopped it up and like put it in certain sections of their video. I'm like, no, I didn't approve this. Now, if you want to share my video, sure, go right ahead. But you can't just take my video and post it on your page as if you created it. And that's the same with any creator. You can't just take their content and post it unless you have their okay to post it. Now, you can share it, you can stitch it, duet it, all that stuff. But the moment you take a person's content and post it as it's your own content, that's different. So yeah, you definitely want, you have some protection when you post, but yeah, you definitely want to be careful when you're starting out, and make sure that you are protecting yourself and your brand. My mother always said, "Don't go to a sandwich shop to a five to don't go to a sandwich shop to a 5 course meal." Exactly, exactly. Um, Let me just see here. What else did I miss? That live was fire. Great information. Very, very informative. Yes, you are welcome. This was informative for me as well. Um, I just tried to make sure that I have the knowledge and the information that I need, to make sure I don't put myself at risk, or at least I lower the chance of putting myself at risk. And when I do get that information, I share it with you guys. I post it in the Facebook group, things like that. But yeah, you definitely have to be careful. You have to be careful. And it is hard because you don't know if your design is going to sell. Yep. So it can be expensive. You don't know yet, or have proof of exactly. You don't know that design is going to do. And especially with the digital designs, I mean, I provide a commercial license up to a certain extent with those designs. Once it goes above that, then yeah, you do have to pay for a commercial license. But a lot of businesses, when you buy digital designs too, you don't a lot of people don't read the fine print. And some of these designers will tell you, you cannot use this to resell. It's for personal use only. And people are buying these patterns because yeah, they may be making something for themselves, but what if someone wants to buy it from them, or what if they decide they want to add this item to their site or offer it for sale? Then they can't do that. So make sure when you are purchasing digital designs, there's some type of commercial license included. Otherwise you cannot legally sell that design. You can make all different colors of that design for yourself, but you can't legally resell it. So watch out for that as well when you're purchasing digital designs. We use these words every day. Easy money for them. Yeah, it's a business. It is literally a business. People have just, they will scroll through the streets of social media and like write down list of phrases or trending phrases, especially. Just like, I know if you're on TikTok, you've seen the whole Tinderism thing, and that has been trademarked. Initially, people thought it was the owner of the restaurant, but it was actually a Black attorney that trademarked it. And he did that because he knew someone was going to go and trademark it. And he wanted to give it to the guy that actually created that word. And the guy actually turned it down. So yeah, it is a huge business. People are buying up domains. So if you're thinking about a business, I wouldn't even mention it until you have your domain, your email, you're submitting your trademark, you have all that locked down. I wouldn't even mention it, because as soon as you put it out there, someone can take it and run with it. So, like the saying goes, move in silence. When it comes to business and, the decisions you're making, you definitely want to move in silence until you have everything in place. There it is. Yep. USPTO.gov. Favorite it, highlight it, save it, write it down, put it on a post-it note. Just go in there and do a search. Just check. And even if you're thinking about starting a business or starting a new business, go on there and check and see, does that name already exist? Or it could be an abandoned trademark. Maybe someone had it and it's been abandoned for 10 years. Or if there's any variations that might cause brand confusion, you will want to be careful with that. Let's see. Or use the symbol. Yeah, now Andrea did say you can use trademark. Even if you haven't, or that not trademark, but the TM, even if you have not trademarked it yet, but you plan on doing so, especially once your trademark application has been submitted, but you can use that trademark. That's basically on intent on trademarking this name. So it is okay to use a trademark. She just said you can't use that R for registered until your trademark has been registered and approved. I was supposed to be working longer lunch break. My bag, faker. But yeah, it's just good information. And I think a lot of people don't talk about it, enough. And businesses aren't protecting themselves. Content creators aren't protecting themselves. And you definitely want to do that, because that rug could be pulled from underneath you at any time if you aren't protected. So definitely protect yourself, your work, your brand, your name. You definitely want to protect that. Or if you've given permission to someone, make sure you have, boundaries, or not boundaries, but I can't think of the word that I'm using for, or I'm looking for, but make sure you have, it outlined as far as what they can do and what they can't do. Don't just say, oh yeah, sure, you can use that, design or that post or that video for whatever you want, make sure you explain to them what they can and cannot do. So make sure you are protected. Um, because if I trademark something and it does not sell, yeah, that is a gamble. That is a gamble. I would definitely say make sure you trademark your names, your brand name, your business name, things like that, so that can't be taken from you. I would start there. And then as far as designs, I would even say if you're willing to take the risk of maybe seeing how it sells or if it sells, and then once you see there is traction, then you could go that route. But I guess it just depends on the person too, and if you're willing to take that risk or not. But I see people taking risk every day, and I'm just like, there was one lady I seen, she had her Etsy shops shut down. She came on TikTok crying, and she was they shut down my shop. I don't know why. And then a follow-up video. They said it was for trademarks, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. It's like you just answered your own question. You just said because it was for trademarks. And then in the same breath, she said, well, you know what? I'm just going to set up a Shopify. So I'm pretty sure the company or companies that got her Etsy shop shut down is on her socials, and they're waiting for her to set up that Shopify. So then they could say, well, we gave you a warning over here. We gave you a slap on the wrist and just got your shop shut down. But you're not stopping. So now we're going to pursue legal action. And that's where the lawsuit comes in. That's where your business equipment, your machines, stuff like that, your computers, all that can be taken and used as evidence. They can reach out to people that have purchased from you. It goes deeper than just them seeing just one post and coming after you, especially if it turns into a lawsuit and not just a cease and desist. I see a lot of Etsy shops selling digital designs, but saying they are not the copyright holder, and the file is just listing their time digitizing. Now, see, this is a huge risk because, again, when it comes to these companies, I see Nike, I see Gucci, I see Louis, Disney, all the stuff. And even if they're selling those and they're getting away with it for right now, eventually it seems like certain times of the year, these brands just kind of do a sweep across these marketplaces and social medias, and they just start flagging stuff. So yeah, a lot of Etsy shops that you're seeing especially NFL, NBA. Yeah, you can't legally sell a Las Vegas Raiders sweatshirt and you're using their exact logo. You can't even use that to just make a shirt. You're infringing on That's an IP infringement, and that can get you a lawsuit. I mean, unless you have $100,000 to pay the NFL and they approve you, then you're good to go. But otherwise, yeah, you can't legally make sports team merch. And that goes for NBA, NFL, NHL, all of those. So just be careful. Not even be careful, just don't do it. I always heard from CEOs there is enough customers for everyone. Yeah, there's enough customers for everyone for sure. But when it comes to trademarks, um, I just say don't touch them. But yeah, there's enough customers for everyone because I could be selling one design, one sweatshirt or whatever, a hat or whatever, and I may have a certain customer base, but then someone across the country may be selling the same thing and their customer base is different. And yeah, that's definitely the case a lot of times. especially with small businesses. You see a lot of small business, especially when things start trending. You see multiple people making the same thing, especially in the craft community. That's gonna happen, but at the same time, you just kind of want to put. I always say, put a twist on it, make it uniquely yours, and just make sure it's not trademarked. But yeah, I believe that there is enough business for everyone. That's why I share the information I do. I share vendors, I share how to's, things like that. Because yeah, I don't feel like it's taking, any food off my plate if I tell you where I get my t-shirts from. Like, that's not hurting me. I still get orders coming in. So it's definitely enough for everyone. Um, so I believe so I believe she said using TM or CR symbol, but it can save you unless you have filed. Yes, yes. So you can use a trademark even if you have not filed, but you have an intention to file and use that, eventually get that name trademark. You just can't use the R, the registered, the R with the circle. You can't use that until it has actually been registered. Um, Terms of use. Yeah, terms of use and privacy policy, you definitely have to have those on your site. You just want to protect yourself for that. But now you also have to make sure, and not even now, but the ADA, you want to the what is it? The American Disabilities Act, I believe. You want to make sure that you want to make sure that you have your website compliant for ADA. There is actually a law firm that is going around and they're suing companies for not being in compliance with the ADA. And they are winning. They are winning these lawsuits. So if they find your website and they go on there and they see you're not ADA compliant, they will send someone to file a lawsuit against you. So definitely be careful if you have your own website. All that, if you're using a marketplace, that is usually built into the marketplace. So that is something that you normally don't have to worry about, Etsy, Creative Market, Fair, things like that. That's already baked in there. But if you have your own standalone website, Shopify, Wix, things like that, you have to make sure that your website is within compliance of, ADA. You have your terms of use, you have your privacy policy. You want to have those there because that can set you up for a lawsuit as well. Um, oh, yep, parameters. That's what I was looking for. I couldn't think of the word. Yes, parameters or a written disclosure. Yes, thank y'all. My words is just like not coming out. Let's see. Faker. I think sometimes the trademark may not get traction now, but in 2 to 6 months later, it may be the next hottest thing. Exactly, because trends come and go. You see it all the time. My bag just fell off the shelf. You see all the time where, trends come up and you'll see multiple creators, jumping on the trend, whether it's for monetary gain or just to do DIYs or tutorials or whatever. Now the popular thing is embroidery with rhinestones. That's been popping over on TikTok. And I seen a couple creators, Tailor Made and So Lucky. They were the first ones that I seen that started it, or not started it, but that I seen, and then I just started to see more and more from there. So it's like, yeah, it could be something that you're like, I don't know, I'm not going to trademark this. And then next thing you know, you post it or you make items and it starts going. Yeah. And at that moment, that is where you want to jump on that trademark if you're hesitant beforehand. Because again, if someone gets to it before you, it could be theirs and you're just kind of SOL. And then just think about it, if someone trademarks your name or your business name or your brand name, you have to start over from, because now they have legally their trademark. So yeah, you definitely want to have those things in place, starting your business. That way you're protected. I'd rather just not sell nothing designer at all. Exactly. And I get messages all the time. Hey, could you create this, and could you digitize this file for me, or make a rhinestone template, or whatever the case. I'm just like, unfortunately, no. Because yeah, I'm not putting myself at risk. I worked too hard to get myself to where I am, to put it at risk for $25. Real talk. For a couple of bucks, for me, is not that deep. I'll pass on that. And yeah, I'm not taking that risk because it's just not worth it. Let me just see if I missed any comments. No, looks like that is it. Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed the live. Again, that was a lot of information. So I'm definitely going to go back and replay it to take some notes. And if I haven't already, I'll make sure to put all of Andrea's information in the description, as well as her TikTok, because she does answer a lot of questions and gives a lot of advice on there. And, you can kind of just scroll through and find a question she's responding to that may be what you're looking for, or just respond on one of her posts and she may respond to your question with a video, or just respond to it on the post. But that is all that I have for now. I am going to get to working on some designs myself. I have a couple stitch outs I need to test out. But thank y'all for watching. And I am glad this live was helpful. And those that end up watching the replay, I hope you find the information helpful as well. But I am going to get off of here. And yeah, I got some things I got to do around here. And I will see y'all in my next video. I have another tutorial Wednesday. So I'm going to be posting videos weekly Wednesday. That I'm going back to Wednesday. Seems like when I did a poll, that's what most of you like. So Wednesday it is. And then I will be catching y'all on my next live as well. So thank y'all so much. Just going through the last of your comments here. Oh, thank you, Faker. And I appreciate you for hanging in there and taking an extended lunch break to stay on the live. And oh, you are welcome. Yes, you guys, make sure you like the live. If you're just watching and haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And if you like DIY craft content, business information, vendor information, I'm your girl. Same to you, Petra. Thank you so much for watching. And Tracy, you are very much welcome. Well, I will see y'all later, and y'all be safe and make sure that you are protecting yourself and your business.